So today I want to talk about being positive versus being naive. It's kind of a fine line, you know. I always think of it in terms of snowboarding. You know, I've been snowboarding for 14 years. I just love it. You know, I'm not professional by any means, but I have hit pretty big jumps, 30, 40 feet. I can do front flips, those types of things. But I always think about how I never started there, and there's always room for improvement, right? And so the thing is, like, I see a lot of these inspirational quotes that are like stay positive, be positive, and I'm a strong advocate for that myself. I like pushing positivity on people, but at the same time you need checks and balances, right? You need to stay realistic. Over the years I've seen some bad stuff happen on the mountain just because people were too optimistic, right? And some of it I never really even saw myself, but you know, just heard stories about it. For example, there was one guy who went to the terrain park his first day and tried a 40-foot jump, right? That's naive. He broke his arm, wrist, broke something, had to get carried down in a sled. So, you know, you have to be realistic. You can't just be, you know, everything's going to go well, I got this, blah, blah, blah. Like, you have to be realistic about your limitations, where you are now. And just because you're, like, by limitations, I don't mean that you're necessarily limited, but you have to take it step by step, right? I didn't start hitting 40-foot jumps. That's why I can hurt them. That's why I can hit them without getting hurt, right? I was realistic about it, and I'm not gonna go out and hit an 80-foot jump because I grew up snowboarding small mountains with smaller jumps, and I don't have experience with that. So I'd work my way up, you know, to maybe a 50, 60, 70 before I hit an 80-foot jump, and I'd have to go out west to do that. So you have to be realistic, right? You don't want to jump into something and say, "Oh, I got this," like, and then ignore everybody's tips. You have to keep an open mind. You have to understand what you're dealing with, the beast that you're dealing with, right? And you also have to incrementally work your way up. You can't just jump into it all at once, right? There's a movie called Chasing Mavericks, Jay Moriarty, surfing like 30-foot waves, right? If you just paddled in there, if you're not a surfer and you just paddled out in there, you're probably going to get yourself killed, right? And that's not negativity. That's just realistic. I mean, you could learn to ride those waves, though, right? It would just take a long time. That's a positive outlook, right? This is really tough. But I don't want to get slammed. I'm gonna go get a mentor, just like Jay did, Frosty Hessen, and I'm going to learn how to train for this. And I'm gonna do everything I can within my power so that I can go surf those waves. That's positivity. That's a positive mindset, right? He's being smart about it. He's being realistic. He knows all the consequences, and he knows that he's not good enough to surf those waves yet. So what does he do? He goes and he finds a mentor to teach him how to surf those waves. That's smart. That's positive. That's healthy. So, I mean, just keep checks and balances in your life. You gotta stay positive. You gotta believe that you're gonna get there, but you can't believe you're gonna just get there quickly always. You have to work your way up to it, to be smart about it. It's you know, you don't want to go crossing the street and without looking both ways, right? That's just dumb. You have to analyze the situation, take it as it is. So naive versus being positive, right? You want to make sure that you're being positive but not naive, positive but realistic. And guys, a lot of times I'm like, I'll point out the truth, right? And the thing is, people think I'm a negative person sometimes because I say things just as they are. But that's not necessarily how I see it, right? It's easy to not know about problems. It's easy to be ignorant and positive than to, like, but true positivity comes from knowing the risks, knowing that these problems exist, knowing all these things that are wrong, and choosing to be happy, choosing to try and better yourself, choosing the other path. They're choosing to focus on good despite all the bad, but it's not ignoring the bad, right? We acknowledge it, we absorb it, we know it's there, we choose to be positive and do focus on positive things despite it. That's true positivity. So let me know what you guys think of this. If you thought about this before, I'm sure you have. I'm sure, you know, we've all gotten in situations where we're a little bit too positive, we get crushed, right? I mean, it happens in relationships, happens in extreme sports, happens in, you know, you name it. Okay, it happens to all of us. So Well, share your thoughts, share your stories. I want to hear them. I will talk to you guys soon.